with the first and goal. Kuhn gets the call. Pyle trying to make his way in for the touchdown. What a great second effort. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. I said so, I keep big bills up in my heart on the dirty like blood. So ain't got no twist in my head, but I'm still dreadful.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the super early Week 12 Fantasy Preview Podcast. It's the Fantasy Fullback Dive brought to you by the good people at the Roto Street Journal. Like I said, it's the 1 o'clock edition. I can't remember the last time my partner and I recorded at this time. I think it was probably 2 years ago, probably in a similar set of circumstances. We used to go really late. For some reason, we went early. It's a different vibe. My partner, of course, I'm your host, Not the Truth Jones. With me, as always, the Wolf of Roto Street himself. He's drinking out of a coffee mug. I mean, I'm assuming it's straight bourbon, but like he's still drinking it out of a coffee mug. What's going on?
No one said it's only coffee in here. That's for damn sure.
Right. I can't drink. I don't know if that's going to make me more or less fun. It will probably make me at least a little bit sharper. I can't drink right now because I got to coach a basketball practice in a few hours, and I don't want to strap one on before that. That would make me look
smells bad again. What is that? Why is he yelling so much today?
That's just body odor and the pure whiskey that I'm sweating out of my pores. Anyway, we're the day before Thanksgiving. We would usually be recording. It even says next to me Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern time. Ignore that. It's a lie. It's 1:15 right now. And we're recording. We got a lot to talk about. We got games lined up tomorrow. We do have a postponement that just came across the news ticker not too long ago. And we're going to, of course, get into that. We'll see how that affects anything.
Is that the Ravens-Steelers? Is that officially postphread?
Yeah. It happened.
Shit. Okay. That must have just broken. I got it off the Roto Street Journal text thread that we're both on. I have not been checking the messages. Okay.
And we also have a comment from CJ already in our comments says no Ravens Steelers makes me sad. So it's out there, Wolf.
Well, why don't we just lead off with that then?
All right, let's lead off with it. Ravens-Steelers game has been postponed until Sunday. We'll keep our fingers crossed that actually does go off on Sunday. But I was it's disappointing. Obviously, you got to do what you got to do, but that was a pretty significant matchup and a pretty nice matchup to look forward to tomorrow. Not going to happen. Obviously, there's fantasy implications. Maybe. I mean, the fact that they're going to try to play this thing on Sunday will hopefully make those minimal. But I know that some of the affected players were Dobbins and Ingram at the very least.
Absolutely. And I wonder if that gives them a chance to now come back. I don't know exactly what the timeline would look like. I hope so, because Dobbins was just in the midst of this backfield takeover. It looked like he was going to be a la DeAndre Swift a couple weeks ago. Over 60% of the snaps, all the 2-minute drills, all the goal line work. It looked like this was going to be Dobbins' job for the future. And that would have been with high upside, high RB2 upside rest of season should he take it over. So hopefully this gives him a chance to come back. It won't be a step back. We'll see, what the rumors are in terms of who's going to be involved and not. It does make sense. I mean, there's been so many positive tests coming out of Baltimore, but it is sad. As CJ says here, it makes him sad just because that's the classic, Thanksgiving Day. You've already had 2 games of football. You're stuffed to the brim with all your food, all your booze. You've probably been drinking gravy out of a glass at some point, like some sort of sick fuck like we all are. And you just get to lay down and finally enjoy one last game of football. And that was looking to be a good, hard-hitting, just teams beating on each other for the last game of the that kind of sucks. That does make me sad too. But hopefully the good news that comes out of that is Dobbins does get to play, that we ultimately get all the players out there. That would be the ideal circumstance, in my opinion. So
it makes it worse, in my opinion, just to jump on what you're saying, that it's the night game, because remember, it used to just be there were 2 Thanksgiving games, and you were always locked and loaded with the Lions and or the Cowboys. And so you were fortunate if you got a good game out of it, especially now. I mean, the Lions and the Cowboys are bottom of the barrel teams. But when they started always embracing having a night game, that's the game that they plan ahead to try to make good. And they did. Ravens-Steelers, and that's a great matchup. Definitely looking forward to it. And so, kind of wish the Lions game was the one that was getting canceled.
Ultimately for fantasy, though, that one will probably be the most explosive to kick off the day. It's the highest over-under total of the Thanksgiving slate, 51.5. If Stafford has any type of pulse, then it will. It will also help in terms of other news here. if DeAndre Swift plays. What's the latest on him, Truth?
Well, concussion protocol, obviously, and that takes some time, and everybody responds to those things a little differently, but he did come back to practice on a limited basis on Tuesday. He still hasn't cleared protocol, so we're kind of down to the wire on this. Obviously, huge implications there. The Lions, and you're saying, does Matthew Stafford have a pulse? I mean, I'm going to argue, no, he doesn't. They scored 0 points last week. They didn't have DeAndre Swift. I don't know. I mean, it's not a coincidence, okay? You got AP. What are you going to do? Roll AP out? His corpse?
Yeah.
Roll him out of the back of the hearse and be like, listen, we need you to run the ball 6 or 7 times? It's not going to happen. I mean, I don't know. So anyway, that's the deal with DeAndre Swift. That's obviously pretty significant. We got some other significant running back news also coming up, but that's the one that's probably the most prominent because it's coming up the soonest.
Exactly. And against Houston, if he plays, it's a smash spot. The most rushing yards allowed in the entire league. Almost 150 yards per game on the ground. They're giving up. It's just abysmal. Second most fantasy points, only less than Detroit on the other side of the ball. It could be a monster day if Swift's in. I really hope he does make this one because we saw last time 70% of the snaps, 16 of 20 carries, a touchdown, 25 fantasy points. And that's against a good Washington front seven. If he gets the Texans, who knows what his upside would be if he steps right back into that role. It's something that we're certainly going to be watching for. It's on our burning questions. So I guess we're covering a lot of that news right now of what we're going to go into in that segment. But I really hope he's back out there, similar to Dobbins on Sunday now that game's postponed. Love to see these rookies continue to get their takeover, continue to pound in some value here late in the season. And before we just keep going through the news, guys, just want to make sure we toss out there, if you don't mind giving us a thumbs up, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, hitting that heart button, or Twitter, hitting the like button. It means the world. It helps us get out to more people. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. We want to be here to answer all your questions, get those all in. Can't wait. I see my man Craig Sarno's already in there. Mitch, we got some legends already.
He stays up in there.
Yeah, of course they're here. It's just like clockwork because we love you guys. So thank you so much to those of you who are here. Interact, get your stuff in. We promise we'll hit it all. We got some new segments though today that I'm excited to get into.
Yeah.
And Swift is one of those burning questions. Is he going to be out there to take advantage of this great spot? Because he could put up a 25, 30-point burger this weekend. I would love to see it.
We picked up a few YouTube subscribers in the last couple of weeks too. I feel like we're starting to pack them on. I mean, obviously we have our normal diehard wolf pack, but there's other people that are trickling in too. It seems like we're kind of gaining steam. So thanks to everybody that's been checking us out. Like the Wolf said, like us, subscribe, give us a rating, whatever. We love reaching as many people as possible, even if we already got our solid inner circle.
Our core.
We got more, with the core. We got some more news coming up, and of course, we got a bunch more burning questions. But Julio Jones, hamstring issue. He could be a game-time decision week 12 against the Raiders. Hate to hear that if you're a Julio Jones owner. When he's in, they put up pretty good numbers. When he's not, they don't. It's pretty much that simple. Hamstrings, man, we talk about hamstrings. We talk about foot injuries. None of those things ever seem to work out real well, do they?
No, because even if he plays, it's like, well, what if he re-injures it? What if he's limping off? What if he's a scarecrow, as you love to talk about? Could just be out there as a decoy, even if he's there. So this is just, whether he's in or out, it makes you questionable. It makes you nervous. And as you just said, the whole offense, when Ridley was out, it was like, yeah, they took a step back, but it was a mild step back. When Julio's out, the whole thing goes to fucking shit, especially for Matt Ryan. 27, quarterback 27, 23, and 26. And his 3 starts without him. And then last week, 27, again, has not put up more than 12 points in a game without Julio this year, which is just crazy. And that is just, as a whole overall offense, it helps nobody when they operate that inefficiently. Even, Calvin Ridley, who might see a nice target bath in his absence, the quality of those targets goes down because they're not in the red zone. They're not moving the ball that well. So he's getting double covered. Like, it just does not help anybody to have such an anchor to the offense out. So we hope to see more positive news on him as the week develops, but we can't bank on that by any means.
Did you just use the term target bath?
A target bath, baby.
Did you make that up?
I've heard target showers before, but something about like the bath just felt right for Calvin Ridley today.
Okay, that's great. I like that. And we should put that in the dictionary. Target bath it is. All right, moving on to the next piece of news. Chris Carson, my guy, you've heard me. I mean, this has tanked my season, basically, the fact that Chris Carson hasn't been playing. I've lost my last 3 games by a combined 7 points. Carson has played in none of them. You figure if he'd played in any of them, I probably would have won all of them if he had played, because I lost by such slim margins, and this guy was a points machine when he was playing. He's had this foot injury that initially was not serious.
Right.
That was like a month ago. And he did practice, I think fully practiced on Tuesday, and supposedly he's on track to play Monday night. That's good. It's still far away. Gives him a chance to rest that foot even further. I'll be happy to see him on the field. That's going to affect me greatly, and I'm sure a lot of other people have been hanging on as well.
Absolutely. And hopefully you also own Carlos Hyde if you have Chris Carson, just because it is the Monday night game and you'll be scrambling for a backup in case this just isn't true. And we've seen, like you just said, Pete Carroll said this was like a game time decision a month ago, and now we still haven't seen him in 4 weeks. So like, I'll believe it when I officially see him active and on the field. As long as he's out there, though, he's right into your top 10 weekly running backs, because we just saw with Carlos Hyde, it was insert top 10 running back here because of how good that offense is. There's only been 1 week they didn't score a rushing touchdown with their running backs. It's just money because of how good the offense is. They'll hit him for 2 to 3 targets. They'll keep him involved in the passing game. He'll see 15 to 20 carries. He's a gem. As long as he's in there, he's an absolute gem. And we just saw the Philly linebacking crew get steamrolled by Nick Chubb on Sunday for some big gains. I think Chris Carson could rip a bunch of big gains too. Just make sure you have your backup plan. Hopefully you still have Hyde. And if you do have Hyde and you don't have Carson, you can't really start Hyde, right? You got to wait till having him ruled out. But if we get any wind that Carson isn't going to play, Hyde would be just as good as we saw last week, just as good as Chris Carson. It's whoever's in the backfield there is going to be a stud.
All right. Speaking of the Eagles, Doug Peterson, Super Bowl winning coach of the Eagles, says that Zach Ertz, who had been on the IR with an ankle injury, and this is a direct quote, is trending in the right direction to play in Week 12 against Seattle. And to that, I say, who gives a fuck?
Dallas Goedert owners, maybe. Like, I don't care about.
I don't give a shit.
I'm not playing Ertz ever, and that was going to be my main takeaway here. Truth is, I got a text from like my brother right before the show. Is like, fuck, Ertz is going to be active. Can we even play Shaggy Dog? That's his name for Dallas Goedert. He's like, fuck, we're going to be screwed. Like, we can't trust this guy now. It's Ertz hasn't done shit all year. What makes you think he's just going to walk right in and suddenly take over this number one role and become this target magnet this week? I mean, Dick Rod is probably a bigger concern at this point because he's getting 40 freaking yards every week. I have no concerns. I'm still firing up Goddard. In fact, they only played, 1, maybe 2 games together this year, and Goddard had that monster week 1. So if Ertz is on there drawing some attention, all the better. He was the tight end 2, Dallas Goedert, in week 1 with Ertz on the field. And that was like they had one other full game together before he got hurt, Goddard. I'm not worried at all. I'm still firing up Goddard. I was stoked to see him reemerge last week. And if you have Goddard, like who else? I mean, Hunter Henry, TJ Hawkinson, Waller, and obviously Kelsey, the only 4 tight ends I have above Goddard this week. I'm not moving him because Zach Ertz might be active. I have no panic here at all. I
mean, as far as games they played together or not, I can tell you because I used to be a very ashamed Zach Ertz owner. I can tell you how many good games Ertz had, whether he played with or without Goddard, and that answer is 0. So if we're worried about somebody coming back in, somebody who has had 0 good games,
right,
that's going to come in and just all of a sudden take over. It's like being worried that I'm just trying to think of like the worst receiver, like Aaron Dobson or something from like 10 years ago is going to come back and all of a sudden start sucking all the targets away from Devontae Adams or something like that. Like, it's not a concern. It's not a thing. So that's what I'm going with until somebody shows me different.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Christian McCaffrey, shoulder issue. He will practice on a limited basis on Wednesday. He's not cleared for contact. I mean, word is he's probably not going to play. I'm not a doctor, but everything I've heard is trending on him not playing. And honestly, why would you play him if you were the Panthers?
Especially when you have your week 13 bye right there. That gives him the chance to really get as close to 100% as he'll be this year. And then there's also that question is, why would you play him the rest of the year if you're the Panthers? I don't think they're in any type of contention at this point. Maybe they're still in the hunt. I doubt it. They've played some good competitive games, but they seem to come out on the losing end all the time of those good competitive games. So that's the worry here. I really would not expect to see him this week. I would not be planning on having him. I mean, if he is, of course he's in your lineup. It's insert 25 to 30 points here. I would say at soonest you're getting him is after the bye, and you just got to be holding those hands together and praying that they actually put him back on the field at some point this year. That's why I sold him, because of that risk. And those early reports that they were optimistic he was going to be back sooner, I kind of sold that up, and it's panning out for me. It makes you sound like a fucking snake as all hell. But hey, it's fantasy football. Somebody pulled the trigger and gave me Justin Herbert and Nick Chubb. I'll fucking take that all day of the week. That I don't have to worry about this headache anymore.
Justin Herbert
responded very well to it. 2 straight wins since I made the trade.
Justin Herbert, Nick Chubb over a guy who's not playing. Yeah, I'll take that. I mean,
all day of the week.
Solid deal.
And
all right, one more. We got one more injury. John Brown, ankle injury. Who our buddy Mitch Renz. I mean, he declared this guy the next Antonio Brown. I want to say 2 years ago on the pod. You heard it here first. He didn't practice Wednesday after a bye week. That equals concern, folks. Concern.
Certainly does. He's had 2 weeks to fully get healthy, and he isn't. That's not good. He limped off real bad when he tweaked the ankle in week 10. And the fact that you get that full time off and you're not ready to be on the field. He's missed 2 straight practices now. It's disappointing too, because I think that's going to be the game. If you're talking daily fantasy or just, shootout style games, Josh Allen on one side, Justin Herbert on the other, I think we're going to hit a pretty high total in that game. 60 plus points is my prediction. I know on Sunday that's going to be my DFS stack. Whether I go Allen or Herbert, we'll see. I haven't quite figured out which one I'm going to go with. That game's going to go crazy. And so if John Brown's not the guy, that obviously lessens the appeal just a little bit. I think he'd go berserk against that Chargers defense. But maybe Gabriel Davis. We're going to talk about Hail Marys a little bit later. 1% owned.
Who?
Just desperate beyond all belief for a wide receiver streamer. Last time John Brown missed a game, this guy had 17 points. He could be a nice deep. Let me emphasize again, deep league streamer. But Gabriel Davis, if you are desperate, could end up providing like a real just punch to your flex position. He actually was in the $1 million winning lineup a couple weeks ago too. Just as a fun note as well. Gabriel,
that is a fun note. I'm guessing he came real cheap.
Yes, he's like bare minimum price tag. Exactly.
They were like, we will pay you to start this guy.
Somebody
500,
please.
Right. All right. That's going to do it for our injury report. We're going to get into burning questions and intriguing stories for week 12. When you got what you suspect might be an STD or something like that, and you have to take a leak and it burns. It burns. It's one of those symptoms that people always come out like, oh, burning when you urinate. You should probably get that checked out. Well, these questions are burning, and we needed to check them out. It was not something we could ignore. This is just one of those things where, like, these questions are coming across our plate, just like you would call the doctor immediately if you had a burning sensation during urination. These questions were burning to the point where we were like, we have to bring them to the public. And we're even going to bring them to the public early, 6 hours earlier than we would have. So here we go. Burning question number 1. Will Brandon Allen, household name Brandon Allen, replacing big game Ryan Finley, completely tank the value of the Bengals wide receivers and Gio Bernard? Well, let me answer that question with a little internet deep dive, shall we? Brandon Allen, on his Wikipedia page, and it says next to him in parentheses, American football player, if you were wondering about that. He was drafted in the 6th round by the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2016. Those 6th round Jaguars draft picks have a rich history of blowing up in the NFL several years later. So you're going to want to keep an eye on that. Also, he never played for them, never played a game for the Rams, who then had him. Then they had the Broncos, and he played 3 games. Ooh. And I think he might have even won one of them. He had an impressive 3 touchdown, 2 interception. That's his career, by the way. He has 515 yards career passing. He's been sacked 9 times. He's never fumbled the ball, sure hands. So anyway, this guy is the definition of journeyman who's really never played NFL football substantially. I think he has a record of 1-2. And so we say to ourselves, is Brandon Allen the answer? I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably not.
Bold of you. Bold prediction.
He did. He's a proud Arkansas Razorback.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case.
Right.
Okay.
So, I mean, if that changes if that moves the needle a little bit, I just wanted to throw that out there for the people that aren't Brandon. That with article that I just skimmed probably makes me 99th percentile as far as people who know a lot about Brandon Allen. So that's my hot take. I'm bringing you guys a bunch of information.
Certainly not information that's ever comforting at all there. Nothing about that blurb helped, although it does make me a little more confident and say Ryan Finley starting, who was 3 for 10 for 30 yards and an interception in relief duty. So I guess he showed them all they needed to see to turn to whoever the fuck Brandon Allen is. So I guess it's somewhat better than Ryan Finley starting. It can't be worse than that.
mean, maybe. I don't know. Why such a short leash for Ryan Big Game Finley?
Because he's a fucking dirtbag. He's useless. Right. He's completely useless. So ultimately, I'm hoping Allen, who does have, as you said, those 3 NFL starts, isn't a complete tank to these guys' values, but I have no interest in starting Tyler Boyd, as you guys are going to see in higher, lower Hail Mary in just a second. I have no interest in starting Tyler Boyd or T. Higgins. In particular, Higgins, I think, is the one that is going to be hit even harder because Tyler Boyd does create separation wherever he's at, and that could be a quarterback's best friend. Maybe we'll see Brandon Allen lock into him. That's often what happens with these backups. Is they have their guy, and they just pepper him. PJ Walker was DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel last week, and no love for Robbie Anderson. So we'll see who it is, but I think he definitely tanks the Bengals receivers, obviously way more significantly than if you had Burrow in there. And then Gio Bernard, it's like, what are you really expecting out of, he's a feature back. Yeah, he's going to get volume, but it's just one of those offenses like, does the volume really fucking matter at this point? So the answer to this question, yes, it sucks. He's going to tank them. Do not trust them. Keep them all on your bench this week. And just if it pans out, then awesome. They're not done for the year. My expectation is you're not going to be able to use these guys the rest of the year.
I mean, I think the Giants are going to straight kill them.
Yeah, I guess that's the only real takeaway is stream the Giants defense this week.
Which I picked up for $2.
Yes, they're going to kill it.
Right. And that was when I thought we were going against big game Ryan Finley. I didn't even know that Brandon Allen was out there. Now I'm just licking my chops. I was like, man, Finley's going to beat us deep. Anyway, burning question number 2. Will Austin Eckler, Raheem Mostert, and Myles Gaskin return and add some depth to the shallow running back pool? I mean, I'd say short answer is yes, but I'm sure that you've got a little more juice than that on this one.
Yeah, there's no lock to any of these guys. They've all been activated and designated to return, but no official word if it's going to actually be this week. There's like that step of being designated to return and then actually being like activated into the starting lineup. Obviously, Eckler's the biggest one on this list, and if he's in, that's humongous. This Chargers offense has been humming at the fastest pace of any NFL team. Justin Herbert's clearly the realest of deals, and Eckler's been getting it done with Philly Rivers in a mediocre to bad offense these last couple of years. Eckler's been an absolute stud, so I could not wait to see this guy. I hope he's back in. He'll be right into my top 12, at worst, top 15 running backs, maybe just a little caution in case he's not a full workload this week. But rest of the season, I put him right back up into my top 20 overall as soon as I saw the news that he is going to be activated. And then Mostert, I mean, when he's been out there, he's been as electric as any runners in the NFL. He's such a perfect fit for this zone blocking scheme. He's got that speed as soon as he's got great vision. He sees it open, and then you saw it against the Jets, that one carry, 89 yards and a touchdown. Like it happens way more often, just chunk play after chunk play. I love Mostert. I hope he's back because we sure as hell have seen enough of Jerick fucking McKinnon to last us a lifetime at the running back position.
Yeah, he's still on my team too.
Oh God, no wonder you're on this losing game skid.
I'm not playing him. He's not. I mean, he's on my bench. I mean, I guess he's locker room cancer.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, your team's not going to respect you when they're seeing this guy lingering around.
When you hear who I picked up this week off waivers, you're going to see that they will respect me.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure I'll believe that.
It's coming.
we ultimately have seen Mostert finish as the running back 6, 16, 21, and 25. So, I mean, hasn't been worse than the running back 25. Very steady, would add some huge depth. And then Gaskin, I don't know what to expect of him. He's probably the least intriguing to me just because Salvin Ahmed has played fairly well and taken over that 80% snap role. I wonder if he gets inserted right back, Gaskin into an 80%, or if that becomes an ugly committee. So I almost don't want Gaskin back just so we get at least one more featured back game out of Ahmed, specifically against the Jets. He could do some real damage. But yeah, of course, it would be nice to see these guys back because of how bad running back is this year.
All right, let's move on. Were Jonathan Taylor's 22 Week 11 carries a mirage, or will he establish his stretch run hero upside now?
I want to say they were not a mirage. That's the hopeful fan in me, right? Is that this guy is going to get fed, because we've talked about this since our strength of schedule preview. There's not an easier schedule down the stretch for any player, but really for running back too, than Jonathan Taylor. I mean, all of them are bottom 5 against the run. Tennessee, Houston, Vegas, Houston, again, who we already just talked about with Swift, is the most rushing yards allowed in the league. If we get 20 carries a week for Jonathan Taylor, he could steamroll these guys. He had, only 8 forced tackles, broken tackles rather, coming into this game, last week from weeks 1 through 10. This last week, he broke 5 tackles. It's kind of like that Derrick Henry runner in a way that, like, when you get him going, when you let him start beating down a defense, that's when he finds his rhythm. That's when they start deciding, like, he's a big ass boy. I don't want to keep tackling this guy. When you have little shitty ass Naeem Hines coming in and fucking like zipping around, like, sure, he brings some interesting element, but that's not going to break down a defense. That's Jonathan Taylor. So I really hope this guy is getting fed. We saw what happened last week when he got fed, and still involved in the receiving game. 4 receptions, 24 yards as well. I don't know that we're going to see 22 carries again. That might be the season high. 26 carries in week 2 is the season high, but we've seen them do this before. As I want to bring up week 2, 26 carries, 22 carries. I in my gut kind of think they're going to just feed him and see what we got in this rookie for a stretch run. And I think he could go berserk these last few weeks. What are your thoughts? Do you think they're going to feed him?
I kind of do. They have a little bit of flexibility. They've won 2 big ones in a row, and their record is surprisingly good. I mean, they're a team at the beginning of the year that kind of looked like they might not be much at all. They actually are in a situation now where having knocked off a couple quality teams. That win against the Packers last week, bad loss for the Packers, great win for the Colts. And yeah, I do think they're probably, I mean, I would if I were them. That's not to say I think they will, but I would at least give this guy a shot. We've been up and down on him all year. Give him 20 carries, see what happens.
Exactly. It's the 2
and I
times.
think are they playing Tennessee? I mean, Tennessee's running defense is not great. So I think their defense will keep him in it. I'd feed the guy.
Exactly. 101 yards and 90 yards the 2 times he's gotten over 20 carries. I mean, he's rewarded them. And that's, again, the style of play. Beats down the defense and then punishes them at the end. I hope it happens.
All right. Number 4, will DeAndre Swift return? If so, is it right back into the running back 1 role he was holding? I mean, do you mean fantasy or on the Lions? Because I cannot possibly imagine him not being the RB1 on the Lions.
They both, right? Because of, yes, any sane human being can't imagine why you wouldn't feed this guy and keep him on the field at all costs. But Matt Patricia is not a sane human being. The fact that it took him 8 to 9 weeks to actually fully unlock this guy tells you he's a fucking fat moron. So I'm not sitting here.
He's a rocket scientist.
Yeah, he's fucking. He's so dumb. Fuck him. Exactly. He could. I'm going to take a breath here.
I know. I flustered you by
go
throwing
crazy
that in
and
there,
rant on Patricia. Fucking moron asshole. But I think obviously he's their best shot at winning. We saw that when he was in, again, just dominated 70% of the snaps, 16 to 20 carries, touchdown, 25 fantasy points. Why wouldn't he be the guy? I don't know. Again, because of what you just said, Matt Patricia could ruin these good things, unfortunately. But if he's back and if he's in that running back 1 role for Houston, for the Lions, he will be an absolute smash running back 1 in fantasy. And as soon as I get that confirmation, he's my running back 12 right now. I think I could see him leaping up to like running back 6, 7 in my rankings if I know he's going to be the guy coming in tomorrow.
All right, burning question number 5. Can Michael Pittman continue as alpha wide receiver 1 ascension and approach 2019 A.J. Brown levels?
I think he can. I made that comparison on Twitter earlier this week, and a lot of people bashed me and a lot of people loved it. It was kind of a very controversial one, separating the wolf pack here.
Polarizing figure.
Very polarizing. But we look at what made A.J. Brown blow up. What are the parallels? Why am I even considering that? Because A.J. Brown was a league winner last year. He literally was on, I think, 30 to 40% of championship rosters, one of the most owned guys. Why could Pittman do that? Well, just like Jonathan Taylor has a easy-ass rushing schedule, those defenses aren't any good at defending the pass either. I think Michael Pittman, if we get Jonathan Taylor just churning and churning and churning, setting up the play action, opening up and softening the defense, that's what happens with A.J. Brown. Derrick Henry gets that full head of fucking steam, and suddenly, you get one single coverage on A.J. Brown. That's all it takes. We saw it last week with Pittman, a 45-yard catch and run. He ended up having 3 catches, 66 yards, and a TD. We've seen him the week before against this Tennessee team where he had 19 points, rushing yards. Like, they use him just as creatively as the Titans use A.J. Brown. He's a great tackle breaker. He can get those contested catches. The skill sets are, AJ Brown again has done it longer and proven it more. But Pittman's, when you see him play, you see definitely glimpses of that AJ Brown level talent. Rivers is not that good. Tannehill's not that good, but they can get it to a guy and just let him do his thing. I really think we could see that down the stretch for Michael Pittman, and this guy could just blow up and be one of those stretch run heroes. And he's still only like 45% owned. I don't understand that. He has to be 100% owned, but he will be by the end of this week when he does it again.
All right. Burning question number 6, Taysom Hill. That's a guy that started for me last week and yet another close loss. He was at tight end for me. But anyway, his encore performance. How will studs Alvin Kamara and Mike Thomas fare in round 2 of the Taysom Hill experiment? Fair question. Well, Thomas was on our up list last week, 9 catches for $104. Kamara, 0 catches for the first time in his career. So up, down. What do you think? How do you think these guys are going to work it out?
It's really exactly those stats that are what we wanted to emphasize here is that switch just flipped completely. And it wasn't really what any of us expected. I thought it was going to be a lot of dinking, a lot of design screens, and then 1 target, 0 catches, as you said, first time in his career for Alvin Kamara. I can't imagine that continues. If Sean Payton's smart enough to know, like, we got to get our guy Alvin Kamara involved more, but you have to, be a little bit more concerned coming into this week. If you're an Alvin Kamara owner, I dropped him to about like 5 or 6 on my rankings. So he's still in that like elite tier, but a little bit more concern coming from now. MT, is he going to get peppered again? 12 targets. And that it was like that only guy that it seemed that Taysom Hill had any eyes for. Sure, he bombed a couple to Emmanuel Sanders, but if they were passing, it was going to go to Michael Thomas nearly every single time. So I'm excited to see, what does he do? Do we see a similar game plan? Because that would send Michael Thomas right up. He's already starting to climb the rest of the season big board. This would really send him flying if we get 2 more games, whereas Alvin Kamara could fall significantly. And Taysom Hill himself, we're going to break him down a little bit in higher, lower Hail Mary. I think we see him run all over this defense once again. I think he's very legit. What's funny now, as you said, you lost with him at your tight end spot. I feel like I've gotten a ton of people messaging me in like, I don't know how, but I fucking lost, even though I got 25 points from my tight end Taysom Hill. I think the fantasy gods were kind of pissed that this dude had tight end eligibility and that people took advantage of it, because I've seen more teams lose with Taysom Hill at tight end than I have seen them win. Fantasy karma, whatever you want to call it, I'm seeing that come into play.
Well, I'm going to tell you where I lost my game. So Taysom Hill at tight end for me, 25, but I went against Mark Andrews, who I think had 20. So it was not a gigantic edge. I was pretty much even or up in every position. And then, you randomly have your guys, say your wide receiver 2 or your flex 1 matched up against the other guy's thing. And I won just about every category by a couple of points. And then randomly I get to this one. I think it was flex 1, and it was 35 points for Keenan Allen for him, 0 points for Marquise Brown for me. And that's where I lost the game.
Oof. Devastating.
Yeah, that was a 33-point deficit. The fantasy gods stuck it to me there. That's for sure.
They sure did.
Yeah. All right, moving on. And this one, Jesus Christ. Is TB12 really this bad? I've counted on this guy in fantasy maybe like 2 times ever in my life. I am not a Patriots fan. I have not, as a general rule, a TB12. Yeah, enjoy that. Oh, you're 4-5 this year. Maybe even 4-6. I don't even remember. Yeah, brag about that for a while. And by the way, my team, the Broncos, beat you, and we suck. Suck.
Good. We both suck.
They're so good they beat you.
We both suck this year. We're going nowhere. You're going nowhere.
Yeah. Well, John Elway is 12-0 all time against the Patriots, so suck on that. Anyway, and that happened fairly recently. Anyway, let's talk about TB12. I had Antonio Brown. I had Chris Godwin. Things were looking good for me. Tom Brady threw multiple balls directly to the other football team. It was some of the worst throws I've ever seen, where, you see a quarterback go up, they throw the ball, and you think, especially with Tom Brady, you give him a little extra gravitas. You're like, okay, he's throwing that ball to somebody that is probably open or close to open. And I was right. The guy on the other team was wide open, standing there waiting. Reminded me, I don't even know if you're old enough to remember. Do you remember when the Cowboys played the Steelers and in the Super Bowl, and Neil O'Donnell threw 2 balls directly to this guy, Larry Brown, on the Cowboys? And Larry Brown got the MVP, and it was like, oh, Brown, he's so good. It's like literally any human being could have caught these balls. He threw them right at him, and there was nobody else around. Did you see those passes I'm talking about?
They're horrible. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why the question, is he this bad? Like, we've never seen that from Tom Brady, ever.
Yeah, right. I was shocked. It was great. I mean, it was wonderful. I needed him to just not be terrible, and I would have won, but he, of course, delivered with the terrible performance. Seems like every time he throws a ball deep, it's not a good thing. I mean, he scores some touchdown passes to Godwin and Evans that are just kind of short, 8-yard passes, and then the guy makes an amazing play to somehow. I mean, did you see Evans fight his way into the end zone in that game? And did you see Godwin later? I mean, he like hurdled 3 yards to get in. That's how Tom Brady's getting passing touchdowns right now.
Exactly.
Is he that bad? Convince me he's not that bad if he's not.
I don't think he's that bad, no. But I do think he's a pretty bad fit for what Arians wants to do. The no risk it, no biscuit, slinging it offense, going deep. You said it's not good when we see him go deep. In fact, it's 0 for 22 in his last pass attempts that have gone 20 or more yards. So that's exactly, for those counting at home, a 0.0 passer rating on his deep passes for an offense that is all about the deep ball.
Did you say 0 for 22?
0 for 22. Yeah. 0 for 19 in the last 3 weeks. He hasn't completed a single deep ball, but even leading into the game before that, his last 3 in that game were also incompletions.
So you understand that if I threw 22 deep balls, I would also complete that same number.
Exactly. And this is when you have Mike Evans, maybe one of the best contested deep ball guy on one side. Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown can certainly make plays down the field. How is this happening? I don't understand it. It is horrendous. And I would also say, use this. If you still haven't had a trade deadline go by, use this right now to get Brady, especially if you're in line for the playoffs. He gets Kansas City this week. And when he's had bad games this year, typically he's rebounded in pretty fiery blow up emotion. Last time he had 5 points, he put up 32 the next week. So I could see him rebounding decently here. They're going to certainly need points when you're facing Mahomes and the Chiefs. He gets his bye week. Then you got for your playoffs, Minnesota, god-awful secondary. Atlanta, the worst secondary in the league. And then Detroit to round things up, equally horrendous to all these above teams. So I know it's frustrating. I know it sucks. I know you don't want to rely on Tom Brady's ancillary weapons here, but I think we hold strong.
I have to.
You have to.
I don't have any choice.
And I think we're going to be rewarded in the long run, given that ridiculously soft slate. The Rams are one of the best pass defenses in the league. They're limiting wide receivers to the fewest points this year. So I'm going to use this as a selling point if I still have a trade deadline. A lot of leagues, Brady's like one of your top 1A, 1B quarterbacks too, because he fell decently in drafts. So you might be able to pluck this guy for, especially after this performance, a pretty cheap penny. And I think he's going to light it up and be one of the top 5 quarterbacks through those last 3 weeks of the season.
All right. Last burning question. If Sony Michel returns, how much, if at all, will he eat into the surging Damian Harris's role? You would think not too much, right? I mean, Harris has looked pretty awesome.
But you could think so and never know with this Patriots backfield. Harris does look awesome. He's churning through defenses. He hits the hole harder than Sony Michel ever has, who runs like such a little bitch. I think Sony Michel, only Duke Johnson out bitches Sony Michel on the bitch run radar. But Harris is the complete opposite. He hits it, he churns, and Rex Burkhead now removed. That's going to open up some goal line work, maybe a little more receiving work. I love Damian Harris. As a Patriots fan, I hope this guy, he's earned certainly 15 to 20 carries a game. In fact, anytime he's gotten, I want to say more than 15. So he's got 16 carries, 100 yards, 22 carries, 121, 17 and 100. So anytime he's gotten more than 16 carries, he's rewarded the team with over 100 yards. Why not feed this guy? And I think they will. I think Belichick's smart enough to know that. I don't think Sony Michel is going to come in and be a nuisance, but it is something that you have to monitor, because even though common sense might tell you Sony's going to be nothing, maybe Bill's draft ego is like, I took a first rounder on this guy. I want to see what we got. It should not be the case. But I do think Sony Michel, I'm not worried about it. My answer to this is he won't, but it is certainly something to monitor, because it could just ruin a guy that's looking unbelievable over these last few weeks. 300-yard games in 6 in 6 possible contests. And again, anytime he's actually been fed, it would have been 100 yards last week. They just got down so early. And again, all the goal line work now his potentially, but Michelle, I don't know. He better not. He just fucking better not like come in and ruin this, because Harris has a low end RB1 ceiling for the rest of the season. His slate too. Oh my God. Arizona, decent. Chargers, one of the worst teams against the run. The Rams are pretty good, but 15-16, Miami and Buffalo, 2 bottom 5 teams versus the run. So if Harris is fully established and you gearing up for your playoff run, he could go bananas.
All right, that's going to do it for burning questions. We're going to get into higher, lower, Hail Mary. I keep having a smile on my face. I'm looking at this guy, this random dude's making some comments on the side. Who are these guys trying to tell me who to play? It's like, yeah, man, we're trying to come tell you who to play. Anyway.
Who are these guys? Who's this guy tuned in? And shut the fuck up.
I don't know. He's
I love that you're here. Like, listen and give your opinion. If you think we're wrong, tell us why. If you think we're right.
Yeah, we appreciate the views in the comments too.
Absolutely. We're just trying to give a few opinions. You make of it what you will. We're not like, you must start this guy. I mean, I have my takes. Yeah. I'm not going to like waver on him and say he might be good, he might not. I have my bold fucking takes and strong. I hate the fucking analysis. They're like, he could be good, but he also like, is that what you want? Is that what you want?
This guy loves us.
We'll tell you who to play. If you want to listen, don't. And that's up to you.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go higher, lower, Hail Mary. And is there any accountability we need to do before that, or are we just going to jump right in?
I'll rip it real fast, just because I do the accountability check when I do good. This was not such a hot week for me. I ended up going 6-7. Winston didn't play. Wentz was a win for a lower quarterback. Alex Smith was a loss for a Hail Mary, 9 points. Fuck him. Ahmed was a loss, the running back 32. I said start Ahmed over Zeke, who ended up being the running back 5. Both L's for sure there. Hyde was a big win, as was P. Ryan, though. So my Hail Marys kind of saved me for running backs. Both W. So 500 there. Sanders was a win at wide receiver. Still got it done with Taysom Hill. Landry was every week Landry is going to be an easy win. It'd be too easy if I use him every week. But he was the wide receiver 71, and I was like 20 spots lower at 46. I don't know why people rank him as high as they do. Makes no sense. Parker was an L. He was pretty good. Wide receiver 15 for the week. Reagor as the Hail Mary was a loss, but Perriman came through for me as the wide receiver 26. Tight end was where things get real fucking ugly too. Hurst was my higher, put up a grand total of 0.00. Dallas Goedert was also a loss. I said start Hurst instead of Goddard. He was the tight end 4 with 16, who I personally had to use because I didn't have Hurst, but that was also a loss. And then Rudolph, I called the tie because Irv Smith, the reason I wanted to play Rudolph was because Irv Smith was looking like he wasn't going to play, and he did. So Rudolph ended up being like the tight end 22, I think, but I don't want to give myself points or take away points for that one. So 6-7, I'm 38, 33, and 4 on the season. So I'm above 500, but this definitely closed that margin. My first week ever not being above 500 for the season. So we definitely need to rebound here this week.
All right, let's get into it. Quarterbacks. We go all the way to, all right, let's start with Taysom Hill. You got him as your QB8. That's 3 spots above the experts. You got him going against Denver. I hope you're right. I have to roll this guy out again. I'm going with Hill over Ryan Tannehill, who is going up against Indy. So anyway, Taysom Hill, why do you like him so much? Is it because of Denver or just because of what you saw last week?
I think a combination of both, more so what I saw last week, because Denver's like a middle-of-the-road defense. They're nothing great. It's not a juicy matchup that you can't wait to go against, but it's certainly not a threatening one where you're running away from them. And running is exactly why you love Taysom Hill. 24 fantasy points, most of them coming on the back of those 2 rushing touchdowns. But I also loved how he looked as a passer. I mean, 18 for 23 for a guy that was hideous as a passer coming in from college. It's clear he's refined that game quite a bit. Michael Thomas and him had that beautiful and encouraging rapport there. I like it. I like everything about him. And Cam Newton, I mean, he had the worst possible passing day, as you talked about when your shitty ass Broncos beat my shitty ass Patriots. Cam Newton went, like 157 yards, no TDs, and 2 interceptions in the air. But he also ran for 76 yards and a TD against this team. They play a lot of man coverage, turning their backs to the quarterbacks. Cam Newton put up 18 fantasy points, even with those horrible stats, and was like the quarterback 12 with literally the worst passing day. So even if Taysom Hill can be mildly decent as a passer, certainly doesn't have to repeat what he did last week. and then also be, as the runner he's been. It's just such a cheat code when you get a quarterback that can run like that. I think quarterback 8, honestly, might end up being too low. Tim Tebow used to be like quarterback 6, and he wouldn't even complete a pass in the game. It's just cheat code. It's cheat code status when they run like this, and Taysom Hill's going to kill it.
All right, let's look at who you're lower on. Matt Ryan going against Vegas, QB 22, 8 spots below the experts. We said Julio was a question mark, so I'm assuming that's playing into it a little bit. Vegas, solid team this year. Not much in the way of defense, although I don't know. They've been a little hit and miss. Any reason you're down more on Ryan than most?
It's just the Julio thing, as you said. He should, if Julio plays, I'll bump up a little bit, but even still, I think Julio might be a scarecrow if he plays. And just to reiterate, Matt Ryan put up 12 points, was the quarterback 27, 12 points, quarterback 25, 8 points, quarterback 25, and 7 points, quarterback 26 in the 4 games that Julio Jones either missed fully or was limited throughout. So you can't understate how big of a blow this will be to the entire offense. Obviously, just started. There's very minimal rushing upside to this guy. Vegas is a fair matchup for quarterbacks. I think it's like the 9th best matchup you could possibly have. So it's not like they're a crazy threatening defense. I do think they're going to put up their points to make throwing scripts. But I just want nothing to do with Matt Ryan anytime Julio Jones is off the field. I feel like I've used that answer before, so I did want to give a quick bonus one. And that's Lamar Jackson tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow night anymore. If he plays on Sunday, I have him as my quarterback 14, which is 4 spots below the ECR. I personally put in Taysom Hill over Lamar Jackson, which imagine coming into this fantasy season and saying, I'm playing Taysom Hill over Lamar Jackson, the MVP of the league, the MVP of fantasy leagues. Like, what has the fucking world come to when you're making that type of comment? I don't understand. I don't get it. But he's the quarterback 16 or worse in 6 to 10 starts, which is crazy. 60% of the time he's been just useless. Quarterback 17 last time out versus Pittsburgh. He's worst running game in store. He's got like a worse running game coming in this week. So I like nothing about Lamar Jackson's script this week. He was the quarterback 17 last time he faced these guys, like I just said. I don't know. I'm not into it. I'm going to play Taysom Hill over him. I'm lower on Lamar.
All right. Hail Mary. Daniel Jones against Cincinnati, 28% owned. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Cincinnati, that's really all you have to say. Daniel Jones, hopefully, as long as he doesn't fall on his face on his way, like 30, 40-yard run, he's going to be fine. But I don't think he's a bad Hail Mary choice. I mean, I actually am starting the Giants defense against them. So I don't see Jones. I mean, Jones is a lousy passer. I mean, aren't you worried about that?
I'm certainly worried about it. But one thing that makes me a little less worried than most people might be is he's 8 out of his 10 matchups have been bottom 20 or worse, like as hard as can be. His schedule, nobody's had a worse, rougher schedule than Daniel Jones has. This is the actual first time he's going to get a green top 10 type of matchup on the season. And I think they're going to have no problem getting the ball back all game because of how bad the Bengals are going to be. He's got some Konami upside. We saw him rush for 60 in a TD the other day. I like Daniel Jones to maybe throw 2, run in for another 50 yards or so as he's been. I'm excited to see what he can do because not that everything's forgiven. He's certainly looked shitty at plenty of times this year, but he's also had, again, one of the most forgivable schedules because of how difficult it was. I think this is a guy, if you lost Burrow and you need a streamer, I would have zero hesitation putting Daniel Jones in this week.
All right, let's go running backs. We got both Pats running backs against Arizona. We got Damian Harris. You got RB16, 4 spots higher than the experts. And we got White, pass catcher out of the backfield, 30, 6 spots above the experts. You like these guys primarily because of the matchup? Or, I mean, we talk about Harris all the time and the juice he's bringing.
Yeah, it's the Arizona defense isn't like a cakewalk by any means. That's not really the big play here. It's more so Burkhead being removed. That's 2 money-making fantasy areas. Receptions in terms of White, you never knew which one was going to be in. Often it was more so Burkhead than it was White. And then goal line for Damian Harris. Burkhead just was like a team monger. He always kept stealing them right at the goal line. But those 2 completely money areas now cleared up, the red zone, the receiving. I think that's going to make this backfield a whole lot less of a nightmare unless, for whatever reason, Belichick, as we asked in the burning questions, decides to put Sony Michel in that same role he had Burkhead in. That could ruin out everything. But in terms of the actual matchup too, you know they're going to want to establish Harris, keep Kyler off the field, and just keep churning the clock. And if they don't, and they probably won't be able to because their defense fucking sucks, if they get down big early, I think White, we finally saw 6 catches on 9 targets, 60-ish yards, could haul in a touchdown. The Cardinals have given up, I think, the 5th most receiving touchdowns with 3 on the year. Wouldn't be surprised to see White kind of sneak in for one of those patented little wheel routes or whatever it might be this week. So I think the Pats running backs, with that space cleared away from Rex Burkhead's presence, could do some real damage.
All right, guy, you're lower on Ronald Jones. You got him as your RB 35. That's 12 spots below the experts, and that's a lot of spots. That's a bigger discrepancy than we usually see. Why, Jones? Why so low?
Can anybody figure out when it's going to be a good Ronald Jones game and when it's not going to be? And if you can, please let me know, because I have no clue on how to pin this guy down. I think, and the reason why I'm so low on him is they like to use Leonard Fournette on passing downs. He played 90% of the third down snaps this last week, whether that's for protection. I don't know why it would be, because Fournette also dropped 3 balls, useless. And I also don't understand why Fournette can drop 3 balls and still keep coming in. But if Ronald Jones drops 1, he's suddenly benched. It's some sort of fucking weird conspiracy theory of whatever his fucking face is. Bruce Arians has this just out for Ronald Jones. I don't know why, because he's clearly a superior runner. And when he does catch the ball, he's so much more dangerous with the ball in his hands than the plodding Leonard Fournette. But regardless, they don't want to use him in passing situations. And when you're facing the Chiefs, there's a good chance you're going to be in passing situations the entire game. So I think game script wise, they're going to try to pound Ronald Jones early and keep him off the field, but they're going to get game flowed out. And if this is just similar to what we saw this last week, then Ronald Jones is going to be up to nothing. So it's, again, really, really impossible to knock this guy down. Like, he had 7 points, 5 points, then 25 points, then 2 points. There's no consistency. It's impossible. The one trend it seems to be is passing downs or Fournette's, and I just think there's going to be a lot more passing than there is going to be running this game.
All right, Hail Mary, and this is the guy I told you I picked up that's going to make you respect my locker room. I know I kept McKinnon. I know you think that McKinnon is crushing my locker room situation. I picked up Frank Gore, some veteran leadership. I picked him up really just because of all the carries he's been getting. If you look at his game log, the guy's getting double-digit carries every game. Of course, he finally punched it into the end zone last week. And I mean, I love Frank Gore. I can't help it. I drafted him, 7-8 years ago, and the guys really were like, he's too old, and here he is. He's still playing football. So 17% owned going against Miami. Figures to be the featured guy. I mean, it's the Jets, sure, but he's still the featured running back. He's get some carries. I'm assuming that pretty much sums up the Hail Mary take.
Exactly. The Dolphins have allowed the 12th most fantasy points. You saw 17 touches last week, 2 receptions, and the path should be even clearer because LaMichael Pirine has a high ankle sprain. I think he's on the IR at this point, and if not, he should be added to the IR soon enough. So 14 points last week. I think he's right in line, and that was a harder matchup last week. I think he's right in line to do the same thing, if not more, this coming week on 15 touches. And you get Adam Gase, he was on Frank Gore, the Dolphin. I guess every game's a revenge game for freaking Frank Gore because he's been on every team so far in his career. But yeah, I like Frank Gore. I think he's going to get some nice volume and do some nice things this weekend.
All right, let's move on to wide receivers. Guys that you are higher on, Michael Pittman. We've already talked a lot about Pittman this week or this show. I mean, he's going against Tennessee. It's one of our burning questions, so probably don't have to go into him too deep. You got him as your wide receiver 28, 6 spots above the experts. You also like Curtis Samuel going against the Vikings, wide receiver 30, also 6 spots above the experts. Pittman, anything else to add? And if not, tell us about Samuel, who's a guy we've been crazy up and down on and, wrong more than once.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've got the wheel of death right now, so I can't switch through the banners, and I can't really scroll down through my notes. I don't know why. Looks like there's a ton of comments coming in, and I'm guessing it's just I have no idea who or why, and I'm not sure I'm going to even be able to click on them if I don't get this wheel of death figured out quite quickly. I know that would be no fun, and you're not able to click on them either, right?
Nah, sorry.
No, hopefully this goes away. It might, if it suddenly disconnects us, Wolfpack, I apologize. But I'd love to be able to click through. I'd love to see my notes here. But off the top of my head, after prepping them, obviously the Pittman call we talked about earlier, put up 19 against these guys last time, has played the highest percent of snaps of any Colts receiver for 3 straight weeks. He's emerged as the alpha. And Curtis Samuel, I mean, the dude's been a top 12 receiver in 3 of the last 6 weeks. He's been top 24 in 5 of the 6. He just had one dud and yet continues to get ranked outside the top like 35 every single week. I get it. Every time I haven't played him for any of those good weeks. I finally trusted him and put him in, and you got me 2.7, which blows. But still, I think there's some consistency here. I think he does get the ball in his hands, get the speed and space. That's the whole point of this offense. So I feel pretty good about Curtis Samuel at wide receiver 30. I feel like that's nothing too bold for a guy that's been playing like a wide receiver 1 at this point.
All right, moving on. Guys you're lower on. We've already talked about these guys too. You got Tyler Boyd as your wide receiver 46, 8 below the experts. T. Higgins, wide receiver 47, 6 below the experts. You basically said you don't trust either of these guys moving forward. It's too bad because these are guys you're both pretty high on. I mean, you got to kind of staple, I'm starting T. Higgins every week not that long ago. Now you're pretty quickly 180. I'm never starting T. Higgins again, right?
Yeah, exactly. The guy that I couldn't take out of my lineup. So much of what he does was dependent on chemistry, on his rapport with Joe Burrow, and those contested throws, those high degree of difficulty that requires that special bond between the receiver and quarterback. I just don't see anybody else recreating that. Certainly not Brandon Allen. So I don't know. It's just I don't think these guys are anything that you can trust until we see somebody, maybe one of the two gets a rapport with him. My guess would be Tyler Boyd for those reasons I talked about earlier, the better separation, all that good stuff that quarterbacks like Brandon Allen kind of need at this point. So I like him. I hate these guys until I see it otherwise. I don't necessarily want to cut them yet because I do want to see which one ends up emerging. But yeah, I'm into benching these guys for the foreseeable future and probably the rest of the year. I have no faith that Brandon Allen is going to end up being anything.
No, you'd be weird if you thought that for even a second. Tim Patrick, guy you're taking a Hail Mary on, he's 23% owned. If John Brown sits Gabriel Davis versus the Chargers in that shootout, you already referred to him. When you brought him up earlier, I'd never heard of him. You said he had 17 the last time he played. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, exactly. If Gabriel Davis, that's all dependent on John Brown being out. He becomes that deep speed element to this offense, the field stretcher in a game that I think is going to shoot out like crazy. So that's going to be the guy that I target ultimately. If again, completely desperate, but obviously John Brown needs to be out as well for that to pan out. So the other guy, Tim Patrick, big fan of just the consistency. He's only 23% owned, but he's put up double digits in, I think, now 5 straight weeks. Yeah, last week it took like a 40, 60-yard bomb, whatever it ended up being at the end of the game. And so at the end of the day, we ultimately, I like him a lot. Sorry, it sounds like there's some issues going on in YouTube. A guy came on twice, said we violated some privacy. Do we need to end the stream? Like, I have no idea what's going on there.
I don't know. We can always pick it up later if you want.
I have no idea if we violated something. We've been doing this all year. So my apologies if we did or what's going on. I obviously don't want to lose the channel. So no clue. I guess we got to dig into that. I guess I can give everybody my quick tight ends if people want them. But yeah, like I have no idea. So you said there's like a moderator saying we violated something?
That was in comments a while ago.
Okay. I don't know what that would be about. It looks like somebody's going off in the comments. Again, my application is no longer responding because of that. So I can't really click through things and see what's going on. I'm going to try to log in through Safari here. But in terms of tight ends, I'll just give the quick guys there. I can't unfortunately pull up questions, so I guess we'll have to try to, I'll be live tomorrow, 11 a.m., hopefully on YouTube. I don't know what's going on with this action here or what we would have violated, but my apologies again for whatever is causing these issues. But yeah, I can't click through. I can't see anything that's happening on there. So in terms of, do you want me to just give my tight ends and then we just sign off here?
Yeah, let's do it. We can get on another time. Rattle them off.
Yeah, so my higher tight end this week is Robert Tonyan. He's my tight end 10. That's +5 the ECR. The Chicago Bears have allowed the 9th most points to the position. This is Tunyon that's fresh off, reemerging for 5 receptions on 5 targets, 44 yards and a TD. I think a very similar stat line. Yeah, Devontae Adams is going to do his thing. But ultimately, even with Lazard back last week, it seemed like Tunyon is still at worst the number 3 and potentially number 2 guy for Aaron Rodgers. So I'm higher on him. I'm lower on Mark Andrews, my tight end 8, -4 ECR. Pitt's the lowest in league with 4.5 points per game to tight ends. He only had 6 against these guys last time, was the tight end 21. It's just, again, people got so high on Andrews because of the high touchdown upside, and I get it. He's one of the few tight ends in the league that can just go 2 touchdowns any given week. But I don't think this is going to be the week. Pittsburgh, again, the lowest points allowed to tight ends with 4.5 per game. I think he's going to get shut down, as I do that entire Ravens offense. And then last but not least, Will Dissly, 1% owned. And I think this could be his coming out party. He was the tight end 5 before getting hurt last year. In 6 of his 8 games entering the year, he was a tight end, top 12 tight end, so tight end 1, and just had a nice, really solid rapport with Russell Wilson through all his games. And Philly's bottom 10 against tight ends. We saw, Kittle obviously go crazy against them a few weeks ago. And since then, touchdowns seem like a weekly thing against this Philly defense for the tight end position. So with Olsen now removed, maybe that's that one little move that needed to happen for Dissly to get going. There's been time for him to really get back into full game shape from that torn Achilles. I wouldn't be shocked. He's only 1% owned if this guy goes and becomes a useful tight end in this dumpster fire of a position for the remainder of the season. So he's a guy I'd be looking for off of waiver wires.
All right. Well, we would usually hit the mailbag about now. Can't really access.
I am back. I can click on stuff. So I mean, I kind of want to see what the fuck's going on here. My Chrome has reestablished itself here. What's happening? Why is shit going crazy?
You're just like, what's happening? We got a lot of like angry comments.
I know that's unfortunate, man. Like,
doesn't usually happen, but hey,
I'll try to sift through and see. Like we got like a few of our usual fans here. I'm guessing the moderator might just be one of these guys. Like, is it an actual YouTube moderator? Or is it just one of these guys saying they're like a YouTube moderator? Like,
oh, you know me. I don't know. I don't know how technology works.
We haven't violated shit. We've been fine. It's probably someone pissed off about something we said. Who knows? We'll see if we can get them blocked from the channel, and we'll try to find our actual fans' questions and answer them here. Thank you guys for working through those technical difficulties where I couldn't get the banners going. Again, my Chrome froze because somebody decided to dump 300 comments about nothing into here.
We stumbled a little more than usual. Sorry, guys. Anyway, Jeremy Anderson says, pick one: Gus, Golladay, Cooper, Anderson, Balaj. You got a clear-cut choice in this group?
I don't. They're all very similar to me, Jeremy. I feel like Gus would only be the guy if both running backs are also.
Oh, actually, both the other guys are on the COVID list. That's actually true.
Exactly. So that's the one thing that's like, if he's in line for 25 carries, I like to stream him for sure. Golladay, I don't know if I trust his first game back. I want to see him get back. I'm kind of leaning Anderson. I want to know if Teddy Bridge is there. Balaj, you need to know if Eckler's there. There's a lot of questions with a lot of these guys, Jeremy. I'd say the only plan of action here might be to wait this one out. Don't play Golladay. Cooper is against a tough Washington defense, the second fewest points allowed to wide receivers. I say we wait this one out, and then on Sunday, if you want to check in, let's figure out, between Gus, Balaj, and Anderson, what their surrounding situations are. And let's not hope that the worst case would be Teddy's out, and then Eckler's back, and then Dobbins is back, and Ingram as well. Then none of those guys are great, and you probably should have played Cooper. But I don't know that I want to get Cooper, force him in just to have him in. And Galladay's not practicing, so I don't think he's going to be playing. This is a really tough one, Jeremy. I think this is one we got to check back in on Sunday if you're willing.
All right, Craig Sarno, he needs 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, half-point PPR. CEH, Taylor, Gio, Hyde, Ayuk, Crowder, Robbie. Sorry, so many mediocre to bad options. Thanks for beating me to the punch there, Craig. First thing I was going to say is, but he knew it. He gave me the 2 smiley face emojis at the end. He knew what he was doing.
Exactly. And it's not pretty by any means here. This is tough. And I missed one from Craig. I'm going to get back to that one, Craig. I just see that right there. I think the 2 rookies, Hilaire and Taylor, I have highest among the running backs. So let's lock those guys in. Ayuk, if he's playing, would be my pick. He's also on the COVID-19 list. There's no guarantees about him. But if he's in there, then I would much rather have Ayuk than any of the other receivers. And then Robbie over Crowder. I just don't trust Crowder. Darnold could be back, and that will definitely spike his value up a bit. Hyde has no real value, though, unless Carson's out. And as we covered earlier, it doesn't seem like he's going to be. So I would be probably benching Hyde and Crowder of all these options. But if Darnold's back, if Ayuk's not back, like this is another one that's going to, require us to find out a little bit more on Sunday. Tunes is here and stamping. Good stuff, Tunes. Glad to see you. And sorry about the banners. That's going to make we probably won't be able to cut up clips from this one just because the banners are
That's all right. It's like giving me a small vacation. So
yeah, you can enjoy. Go see your family.
Yeah. Commenters and technical difficulties. I'm going to get to spend a little more time with the family. Todd Exotic. Love Todd Exotic. What's up, fellas? Please do me a favor. Tell me who to start. You got it. Need an RB2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and flex, half point PPR. Gio, Gurley, John Taylor, Deontay, Tyler Lockett, AJ Brown. Much love and happy Thanksgiving Eve. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. I can jump on a couple of these just because I know what the Wolf's going to say. Deontay Johnson is a must start.
Yep.
He's been on record for a while saying that now. The other guys, I mean, we like giving Taylor the ball, right? That's what we were saying.
We love giving Taylor the ball. And usually I'd love to see him emerge. I feel like you got me you got enough guys here, Todd. And actually, Todd, before I forget, I know you said you were a teacher the other day. Do you still teach? Like, are you still a middle school teacher? What is your deal? You never answered that question, Mr. They call me Roos, Todd, Mr. Exotic in the classroom over there. I like Gurley actually the most of the running backs, strictly because they're facing the Raiders, who give the 5th most points to running backs. They're going to try to rip it up on the ground and keep the ball away from the Raiders. So I like Gurley the most of the running backs. And then I'm going to go the 3 receivers, Deontay, Lockett, and AJ Brown for the wide receiver 1, 2, and flex there. I'm not going to touch Taylor at this point because you have enough options to wait and see. I think you can get him in if you don't have those options, but you do. So let's wait. Let's see it. Craig, I missed this one for you here too.
Allen or Herbert?
Allen or Herbert? I'm going to go Allen. He's my number 2 quarterback, and Herbert's my number 3. It's as close as can be. I love them both in shootouts. If John Brown's out, that might change my opinion, but I love them both. I don't know. Herbert might be safer, to be honest. Like, do you have a clear opinion on this one, Truth?
I mean, I would lean Allen just like you did, but I really like watching Herbert play. So
fun.
I don't know. Depends. I know you have Herbert now, so I'm biased in that direction as well.
Yes.
All right, Denny got a raging Ertz in his pants right now. I said I made disparaging comments about Ertz. I stand by those comments.
Where's Denny been? He hasn't been around.
No, it's not. I mean, we're at a weird time.
Yes.
We have a different group of people watching than we usually do.
Yeah, seriously.
Did Katie win? Craig wants to know.
No, she needed 20 from Suck Up and did not. So Billy Jiggs is wearing the pants of the relationship for the time being. But Katie Jiggs does still have the trophy. She's the defending champ in that league and will hopefully be able to defend that title down the stretch here.
Cameron Q. Geckel, what's up, guys? AB or DJ Moore? I don't know what the Wolf's going to say. I'm going AB. I don't care. He got a lot of targets from Brady. Granted, none of them far down the field because it appears Brady can't complete a pass more than 20 yards down the field. But I really like the volume I was seeing out of AB. AB did, You know what? AB did have one kind of go off his hands that I thought maybe he should have caught. That was a deep ball. Do you remember that one?
Too, right? I remember that.
It was a decently deep pass. It was 35 yards, something like that. And so
Absolutely.
As much as I was hating on Brady before, AB 2 years ago catches that definitely.
Exactly. I probably see DJ Moore gets the Vikings, one of the worst cornerback groups in the league. He has been so up or down, but lately it's been up, up, up. I might keep riding that hot train with DJ Moore. The secondary for the Chiefs is really good. They're also going to have to chuck though all game. That's a really tough one, Geckel. I personally think I'm leaning DJ Moore.
All right. I respect that. Also, he wants to know Gus the Bus or Bernard. These are not great options.
Yeah, I mean, Bus, if he was a shoe-in on Thursday for the lead role, 20-plus carries, it's him. I don't know that we have that now. So I'm going to go Bernard right now. But if on Sunday we get word that no Dobbins, no Ingram still, then it will be Bus. Because I'm not really into Bernard that much.
All right, Broderick, 4CA, Tua or Daniel Jones, other waiver options as well. Stafford, Cousins, Smith, Rivers. Thanks, guys. Having a tough time with this one. You're welcome in advance. I hope we can help.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones was your Hail Mary. Do you like Tua more than him generally?
I prefer Daniel Jones to Tua. I think of this list, though, if Galladay's playing, I think I like Stafford the most. Facing Houston, bad defense. You get some Thursday, action on Thanksgiving, a little juice there. I prefer Stafford than Daniel Jones. If you want nothing to do with Stafford after these last few duds, I get it. I prefer him. And then Daniel Jones is like, I think I have Stafford 16 and Daniel Jones 18. So they're very close. I think those two are head and shoulders above the other options.
Slim 74, would you pick up Ingram for Hurst rest of season? I do have Ertz on the bench. Ertz on the bench, the old insurance policy.
Useless. Useless fucking Ertz.
I would rather have Ingram than Hurst, honestly. I don't know.
I would, after last week's dud, Ingram's had plenty of his duds too, but he seemed to be trending the right way before his bye, and now they get the easiest possible schedule, as we've talked about, for the Giants, at least easier than anything they've seen all year. So I prefer Ingram than Hurst. Yeah, I think just slightly.
Also, I'm thinking about grabbing Mims for the Huggins downgrade. I like the talent. What do you guys think? He says Huggins. Do you think he's Higgins?
The Higgins
downgrade? I'm saying the Huggins downgrade. I don't know exactly what he means. Is there a receiver named Huggins that I just am blanking on?
I have no idea what he's talking
about. I do
like
Mims.
Yeah, Mims looks pretty good. He saw 8 targets, only hauled in 3 of them, but they were all, 19, 27, like big chunk plays. And the guy, I loved him coming out of Baylor. I like Mims. I don't know what the Huggins stuff is, but yeah, I think Mims is picked, he's certainly rosterable. It just depends on what you have and what you're cutting for him.
All right, Cameron Q. Geckel, another thought is to sit CEH for Edwards since he's going against the Bucs D.
I wouldn't do that, no. The CEH 2-touchdown game, like the Bucs, yeah, they're good. His picture.
They're okay. I know, Cameron. What are you doing? The CEH, the Bucs defense, they're good, I guess, but I've had them last couple of weeks and they haven't done much for me. I can tell you that.
Yeah, they're not. The Bucs D is I think started the year so hot that everyone keeps overrating them in their minds. They've been getting bombarded the last few weeks. I like CEH and what we've been seeing these last few weeks.
Mike Clay with Ravens game moving to Sunday. What do we think about the RB situation? Assuming they're removed from COVID, is it Dobbins time? Again, we've gotten that a bunch.
I think so. Dobbins, before the COVID scare and fiasco happened, was 65% of the snaps, all the goal line, all the 2-minute drill. I think like 50% of the carries. It became his backfield, a la DeAndre Swift a few weeks ago. So I think, and he responded. He had 70 yards, a TD, like 20 yards receiving. He didn't give them any reason to not go back to him as much as they did. I think they keep doing that. Yes.
Nathan Barron, start Woods, Moore, Diggs, Drake, or CEH for flex. Man, not bad choices, actually.
Not bad choices. I love Diggs the most. I think that game shoots out. He hasn't had he's been double. He's the only receiver all year to have double digits in every single game. That type of floor with the ceiling we've also seen on multiple times. I like Diggs the most, probably followed by Woods, but like Diggs is head and shoulders above this group, in my opinion. And that's a good group to be head and shoulders above too.
Yep. Kyle Tunenberg, if Eckler comes back this week, I need to drop someone. Who would you suggest? John Brown, due to injury. Duke, Fulgham, Rager, Hyde, Emmanuel Sanders, Aguilar, Latavius Murray. So you're saying who's the worst guy on this list, basically?
I honestly think it's Duke.
I was going to say Duke too.
he's had all these chances to start. If you're not going to use him this week, after Thursday, he's going to be gone and he's going to be used. Maybe he shows something Thursday and you can see especially if he's useless against Detroit, then it's like, okay, no way Duke stays. Let's say he blows up and then word comes out David Johnson might be slow to recover. Out of the rest of the guys, I feel like I might cut Sanders first. He's been good all year, but it's like a guy that you just never want to start. Because I don't know. I don't feel great about him. Aguilar has been kind of blowing up lately. He's got an easy stretch run schedule. I'm not cutting Murray just in case anything happens to Kamara. You could cut Rager or Aguilar or Sanders and be okay with it. I think I'd cut, but Sanders gets Breeze back too. I think I'd rather own Sanders than Rager now that I think about it. So I would say Duke, let's see what he does Thursday. Cut his ass if he's useless. And then if not, I think Rager gets the axe here.
It's too bad. I like Rager. Larry Brown was the most undeserving MVP in league history. Thank you for remembering, first of all, Craig, because to me that doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but evidently it was an uncomfortably long time ago. The Wolf does not even remember this. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he was. I feel like in the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, not the one where who did Tampa Bay beat? Somebody where they beat the Raiders. I feel like they had some defensive back win it that it was also pretty undeserving. But yeah, Brown got a big contract out of that though, Craig.
Hey, there you go, getting paid.
It's not worth what he got anyway. You're right.
Oh, is this the guy you were alluding to?
Yeah, but like there's a huge slew after that. So probably like the next like several hundred comments you probably shouldn't even worry about. Yeah, but he doesn't. We don't know what we're talking about. He's right.
Mr. Jeff. I hope this. I used to have a buddy named Jeff Jones. He's one of my best friends, so I can't imagine this is Jeff. If it is Jeff, good to see you, brother. But I don't think that's him. Two scrubs sitting at home doing nothing. It says the guy sitting at home doing nothing, commenting on a YouTube video.
I mean, we're doing something.
Like at least we're fucking making content and helping people out. Like you sit at home and troll and tell us we're doing nothing. So that's what you were alluding to. Okay, we'll skip over a lot of this. We don't want to give this fucking loser attention, but come on. Oh yes, all right. We got a lot to skip over. These guys don't know a thing. Sweet.
Anyway, yeah, it's a long mailbag. Don't know how many of them we're actually going to be able to get to. All right, guys. Fraser Mackey loves the early slot today, being from Scotland. I wish we could do it all the time, dude. I'm glad you're watching from Scotland. This just kind of happened this way. But, man, thanks for turning it. I appreciate it. People
from new places, Scotland, Philippines, Australia. It's awesome stuff to know, like the reach we've come to at this point. It's humbling in a way, and thankfulness, talking about Thanksgiving and all that. Like it is just – I'm just thankful that we have such a great group of people that tune in and stuff. And like I always like to ask before we hit the mailbag, we started, especially with all the whatever the hell is going on in the comments here. If you don't mind giving it a thumbs up, if you don't mind giving us a subscription wherever you're at, if you've liked what you've heard, if we help you out, means the world. It seems like we got a great group. One kind of troll just making nonsense in the chats. But as a whole, Wolfpack, you guys are the best. And if you're willing to join that pack and hit the subscribe button and even turn on notifications where you're at, even better. We really, really greatly appreciate it. It helps us get out to more people. And that's really the goal, is to help as many people as we possibly can.
All right, Fraser Mack from Scotland. Who do I flex this week? Zeke, Taylor, or AJ Brown? Man.
That's a good one. I prefer Zeke. I mean, it looked like I think we underrated the Zeke injury, the Zeke hamstring. It was definitely sapping him some of his hard running style, and it looked like he's really back. AJ Brown would be my next one, though. It's really tough to really know who else is in your lineup that's over AJ Brown, because I love AJ Brown. Zeke's my number 5 running back for the week or right around there. It's tough to ever bench him. But AJ Brown's right up there too. So I have no idea.
That one's really tough, actually.
Who are you going over AJ Brown, Frazier? I do prefer Zeke, but who are you going over AJ Brown is where I would end this one.
Dude, sub and then screw. Craig responding to some of the haters, perhaps. I don't know. Who knows?
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where there's questions in here, because we've got this really cool dude named Jeff Jones that likes to tell people they are wasting their time. And as he sits here commenting for an hour, nonsense on here.
Did he really? I didn't see the comments for a long time.
I don't know. I mean, let me find where there's an actual question. My friend, howdy guys. My friend told me to come. I'm guessing that Ray Ennis is probably
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So the YouTube moderator, I'm guessing this is like one of them making a name.
That's a good idea though, to a profile like that.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of times on these Zoom meetings, like a lot of students will put on like reloading ... for their picture. Like it's like they're having technical difficulties. But really, they're just they're just gone.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
So I can see why you were like you were texting me on the side. I'm like, what's going on? Like YouTube.
Well, I just didn't. I don't see any more comments. But anyway, we'll see.
Yeah.
If you want to wrap and we can try to hit it later. That's fine. I know you're going on live tomorrow.
Yeah. No, I'll be live. I'm just trying to we have at least a few more genuine comments in here.
I appreciate Kevin J. Murray referring to me as Gronk again. I did notice that. It was one of the last comments that I saw, and I was like, Kevin, my man.
Yeah, that's probably one of the last legitimate comments going on here. I'm just trying to find if there's anybody ultimately asking any good questions, because I don't want to we got Marco tuning in. One of
Marco
our best
McCaffrey officially out. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Same to you, Marco. And he is officially out. Okay, I knew they were leaning that way, but thanks for that.
Yeah.
Sorry, McCaffrey owners.
Yeah. I'm trying to – there's still I feel bad because I know so many of our awesome fans here end up getting the short end of the stick here because we don't see their questions here. You have to, Omar, one of our legends, you have to be a real loser to harass random people in a fantasy football stream. Yeah, it seems about right. So
You're right.
on.
As usual, Omar. Wise, sage beyond your years.
Yeah. So let me I'm going to look for the Facebook and the Periscope, because they're not seeing all the weird shit this YouTube.
Right? They just think it's business as usual. They just think we're slow for some reason.
Yeah, why are you not high on Aguilar?
Sorry, guys.
Somebody's talking about sniffing their cracks and stuff in the comments.
Right.
Oh,
well,
man.
why aren't you higher on Aguilar with a kick matchup against the Falcons? Why don't you tell him? Ryefoot from Periscope wants to know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I am +7 or 8 his ECR compared to the actual expert ranking. So I'm not low on him compared to the consensus. It's just a matter of it's Aguilar 1. He's inconsistent. We've seen blowups this year. We've seen him suck at times too. We've seen him completely disappear. Now, one of those games was a huge wind storm, so I'm not going to over exaggerate. So yeah, I'm +6 ECR right now. That will be +7 in a second because John Brown's most likely out. It's who do you have him above Ryefoot in terms of Antonio Brown, Myers, Kirk? Which guys would you rather have him in over Sterling Shepard and Samuel? It's more so I like a lot of the guys above him, less about me not liking Aguilar at this point. And maybe this is what it is. Craig has the
what's Craig say?
Why this garbage is happening.
They blame Wolf and Truth for all this, for coming on early. Live and learn, boys. The preteens are out big time at this hour, I guess. I mean, you're probably right. We didn't want to come on at this hour, but it was this or not doing a show. And we decided, even if there's just a few guys listening that wanted to know what we had to say or the Wolves picks or anything like that, we'd come on now. The Wolves got plans tonight, so it's nice. It's going to save me because I usually come back from basketball practice and I have to come right on for 2 hours, and it's brutal, but it is fun. I admit it. So This will be a relaxing evening of sorts. But you're right. That's probably why.
Exactly. The preteens are out here. I wonder how they swarm.
Sorry, I wasn't at our best, Craig. We apologize.
Yeah, I know. Little distractions going on, and all the comments coming in so fast made it so I couldn't get through the banners. But we know you guys are the best. Those of you that are not being just complete assholes in the comments here. As Omar says, don't listen to these. I'm trying to just get away.
Thanks, Omar. We appreciate it. We're not listening. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think at this point we can it seems like the comments are ultimately cooling off here. We'll figure out how to.
It's cooling off. We'll talk about it later. Levi Toss says, "Can I keep Taysom Hill in the tight end if I don't want to change lineups?" I can't tell you specifically, dude. I will tell you he was in my tight end spot, and I went to pick someone up off waivers in an unrelated position. And before they would even let me complete that transaction, they made a point of saying he's not eligible for tight end anymore. You have to make that move before you do anything. So I was not able to keep him in the tight end spot.
Well, so here's the deal, Truth. And what he's saying is if I don't change my lineup, if you don't make a pickup, if you don't change your lineup, I think you can just leave him locked in and you're going to still be able to get the points. At this point, it's already.
Well, then maybe. I don't know.
It is already sketchy enough that he's a tight end. But that's what I've been reading is if you just leave him in and you make no moves. Now, if you have to
right, because I wasn't changing my lineup. I was just making a roster move.
Exactly. So you won't be able to make a single pickup the rest of the year. You won't be able to move anybody in and out. But if you just leave him there, there's
it's
nothing.
Possible it's worth it.
Honestly, the edge, like if you feel good about your lineup and you don't need to make changes the rest of the year, you can do it. It's also just that moral dilemma too of like
I didn't.
They're very
I had
clear right now.
I had Marquise Brown in my lineup. I didn't feel good about it. I had to do something.
Yeah, you had to do something. You can't move
and
forward.
And Josh Kelly, him too. Yeah. He was in my lineup.
So that's
and the Bucs defense. Oh God, no wonder I lost.
Exactly. So yeah, it's when you have a lineup like that, you want to move people out. But if you had a good enough lineup and you don't have a moral obligation like in your head that like, hey, this is kind of cheating, then I mean, win to win. Like, I don't know. I personally probably wouldn't do it just because it is like ESPN's been very clear. He's not a tight end anymore. And so now you're kind of abusing like a technical difficulty rather than like a glitch that anybody had access to. You're now abusing a technical glitch. I probably wouldn't do it because I think the fantasy gods are going to smite you for it if you do it. But yeah, that's kind of up to you. If you don't make changes, I think he's stuck in there.
That's a good question. Yeah, YouTube's a mess. I blame YouTube for coming on early, guys. These man, thanks for doubling down, Craig.
Yeah, making sure we got
we appreciate it. And again, I think you're probably right. Mitch Chavez, we playing Woods over Godwin this week. Yeah.
Yes.
Probably.
I think it's a little safer. It's a little more consistent.
Hey, last week, we got asked Woods or Cup, and you said Woods and I said Cup. And I do think that Woods had some more points, but they both had great games. I mean, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad about my Cup pick at all.
No. Yeah, and I don't know if you were tuned in last night, but one of my favorite moments of this year, dude named Stanley Yelnats on Twitter asked me right before the game. He said, I'm down 26. I have Antonio Brown in. I think he's better for a ceiling than Robert Woods. Can you convince me would you like weigh in? It wasn't like, could you convince me? He wasn't being a dick. He's like, if you have time.
Convince me.
Yeah, convince me. He was just like, if you have time, weigh in. And I was like, hey, honestly, I've seen Woods have 30-point days. And AB's in such a crowded place, I would personally go Woods. He switched it, ended up winning because Woods put up 27 for him. So I love when it works out like that. It helps out a fan like right before kickoff. There's nothing better than that rush. We were chatting the whole game, so that was great.
You ever read Holes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's where Stanley Yelnats came from.
I know.
That's
why I answered. That's the main character in Holes, right?
Yeah, of course. That's the best book of all time to teach middle schoolers. I used to teach it.
I've read that. Yeah, I've read that with multiple groups of kids. They loved it, and my kid.
Yeah, so good.
Nathan Pollan, start AJ Brown or Deontay Johnson. The Wolves on the Deontay Johnson, wagon. Yeah,
I would like to get them both in. That's an absolute monster performance. So I don't know. Again, how do you not get them both?
I'm saying Deontay Johnson.
Yeah. I would personally go AJ Brown, just the upside of him. Tough matchup versus the Colts. I don't know. Who do I have higher in my actual rankings?
I'm surprised. I really am.
I have AJ Brown 15 and Deontay 16. So
all right,
just about as close as
these are the questions you get where they're like they look at the list and maybe they've even looked at your list first. Who knows? If you haven't looked at the list, the Wolf has a really, really awesome really awesome rest of season big board. Slim 74. I'm sorry about the repeat questions, guys. I thought you guys went to a new topic. I promise I'm not one of those. We know, dude. It's okay.
No, Slim, you're the man. It's tough to find questions right now. So if we didn't get to one of your questions,
if we skipped, we're sorry.
The nonsense that went on. Although at the end of the day, I think these comments get us out to more people. So I mean, I don't want it every time because it makes it difficult to find actual people who want help. Yeah, we got to figure out what we do. Like, do we report? I have no idea, but we'll figure it out.
We can discuss it off the air, perhaps. Fraser Mack from Scotland, 94. Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin also have Herbert. Wink emoji.
Yeah, he was talking about why he had to. I forget the exact decision, but it was one where it's like, yeah, you're not benching either of those guys.
Yeah. Chinks, drugs, you guys rock. Thanks if you mean.
Hey, some nice actual words after that.
AJ Brown, Deontay Johnson is from Nathan Pollan again. AJ Brown, Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans, Robbie Anderson, who are the top three this week. So who you sitting if you're sitting one of these guys?
I would probably sit. Oh man,
I'd probably sit Robbie. Anderson. I'd sit Robbie.
I think Robbie's just on the downslope right now, so I would go him.
Yeah, it's too bad. Mitch Chavez, just don't do any more on YouTube. That's where the honest mess is. Oh, but we like YouTube usually, Mitch.
We've been having some great fans. Where's like Fat Boy been, by the way? We haven't seen Fat Boy in a couple weeks. He's
smashing pumpkin pies is what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. We have a great, I love our YouTube fans.
I mean, you're right, Mitch, but generally speaking, we do like YouTube.
We love our YouTube fans. We just won't
maybe not the 1 o'clock time slot. Who knows?
Yeah, it's got to be the time slot for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Nathan, wow, I just realized he does look like Gronk. Dude, we get that a lot.
No clue. No clue. I never
Brian
saw
Lamarche,
it.
Aguilar should be higher in your ranks. Why is he not? You did answer a question like that earlier, actually.
Yeah,
you are
I just
higher
answered
on
that
him.
one.
Okay.
It's more so I like the people above him, and I'm still 7 spots higher than the ECR. So,
Mitch, have a happy Thanksgiving, you guys. Hope these trolls don't get in the way of such a great show. Appreciate you both. Well, they gotten a little bit in the way of this one, but in general, don't worry about it, Mitch. But have a happy Thanksgiving to you, too.
Always. You have a great Thanksgiving, too, brother. Thankful for fans like you that come out every time. You're the man.
Slim, am I going to pay for benching Landry this week? Man, probably not.
No, Landry sucks.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
probably not, Slim.
No, you're good.
Darren Murray need a QB. Should I trade Gaskin or I guess that's Morris? Mostert.
That's Mostert, I bet. Yeah, Raheem. I would trade Gaskin first. I prefer Mostert rest of the season. That's where I would go.
Mostert's good, man. Darren Murray, Ahmed or Rager at the flex?
I would go Ahmed. Rager just has not impressed, and it's more so I think because of Carson Wentz. But
I agree.
Yeah, I like Ahmed, especially against the Jets this week. If Gaskin's back, we might have to backtrack and revisit that. But there's been no word yet, as far as I've seen.
Yep. Tomas Medina. Sorry, Rager or Gus the Bus is flex. Thanks for the advice.
So that would be ultimately we have some time to wait that one out. If Dobbins and Ingram are out, it's going to be Gus. If those guys are back, then I like Rager on Monday night against the worst defense against receivers, the Seattle Seahawks.
Nathan Pollan, who should my 2 RBs be this week? I have Zeke Mostert and David Montgomery. Yeah. If Mostert's playing, I'm going Zeke Mostert, definitely.
Yeah, I would too. I don't like Montgomery at all, ever. He gets Green Bay, the easiest possible matchup, but if I can bench him, I will.
Still David Montgomery, though. Exactly. Broderick, Forcier, AB, Rager, Patrick, Jay Myers for my last flex spot. I'm a sucker for AB, man.
I am too. I'm going to go AB there. I agree with you on that one.
Craig Sarno picked up Pittman. Do you play him over Ayuk or Robbie?
I think I play him over both guys. Yeah. I have Robbie at 26, but I don't know if I love that. He is facing Minnesota. So it's like, is Teddy in the guy he has that rapport with? I have Pittman just 2 spots lower. So we'll see. But yeah, I think I would sneak him in. We got to just see if Brandon Ayuk's even playing before we can really rank him.
Omar F. I have Ayuk and Debo on a couple teams. Which one would you hold or hold them both another week in case of injury/COVID?
If you can hold both, then hold both. I want to see what Debo does in his return. But if I had to pick one, it'd be Ayuk. But I would rather not have to pick one if I don't have to.
Craig Sarno, happy Thanksgiving, boys. You too, Craig.
Absolutely, Craig. Thanks so much for always tuning in. You're the man, Craig. I hope you and the
even
fan
at 1 o'clock. Jimmy Bridges, what's up, my man? Happy Thanksgiving.
Jimmy, happy Thanksgiving to you, brother. Great to see you. A lot of the regulars coming in here.
Christiana Freeman, Robbie Hunt, Claypool, pick 2 PPR. Thank you. You're welcome. Claypool, definitely.
Yeah, thank you, Christiana. And by the way, we saw you kind of commenting and defending the boys. So we appreciate you so much. Yeah, we're dealing with some fucking stupid shit from those losers. And thank you for sticking your neck out for the boys over here. You're the type of fan that we love, not those tools that were commenting in earlier. So thank you, Christiana. We really, really appreciate it. In terms of your question, I would be benching Robbie of these group. I love Claypool, and I think Hunt against the Jags should definitely get some good burn and do some damage. But thanks again, Christiana, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too. Omar F. Happy Thanksgiving, fellas. Don't mind the trolls. Keep doing what you're doing. The Wolfpack has your back. We appreciate it. We don't worry too much about it, but we still appreciate it. Slim74, Wilson Jr. off IR. I hate to be a Debbie Downer to the Mostert owners. Yeah, but it's a fair point though, Slim.
It's a really good point. Slim's bringing some good news today. I know. A lot of good news to Mostert owners, but there's like good news for the show to cover. Wilson had a 30-point day the last time he was out there. He's had a couple blowups. Like that could become a negative to Mostert that we need to factor in. So yeah, and he could also be a really interesting pickup, Wilson Jr. if he's off IR right now, just in his own right. He's going to be out there in every league. So if you have bench trash, I think Wilson Jr. is like truth. I'd probably rather have Wilson than McKinnon. Who knows?
McKinnon, definitely.
Yeah, come on. Go check it out. Go see if you can get him.
All right, fine. Nathan Paulin, he's had some good stuff too. I personally like Robbie Anderson over Evans this week because of the matchup. Thoughts? That seems like maybe a little much, Nathan. But I don't know. What do you think? Well, I don't. I think I don't agree with you, although it's not like an absolutely crazy take. What do you think?
I don't agree either, but it's not like you said. There are only 5 spots difference in my rankings. The matchup's tough for Evans, but like the matchup couldn't have been tougher last week, and he still put up 60 yards, a touchdown, like a grown man touchdown, in a game that I think is going to be a lot of points. I like that a lot. I go Evans there.
Craig Sarno, I think mommy and daddy may have come home and the preteens have exited. Yeah, that or they just realized that they'd spent like 45 minutes of their time trashing some guys they said they hated. It's like, that's a long time, man. For me to go off on somebody on the internet for more than like 30 seconds, man, that's a pretty big commitment.
Yeah, 20 minutes of it, like 40 minutes, whatever it was. You got to have some real time on your hands to tell people that they are bums in their own houses doing stuff. Like absolute tools. Hold on. It jumped up a spot. 1 second.
Martin Broadhurst need to start 2 in PPR. Balaj, Curtis Samuel, Rojo, Chark, or Slayton. Thanks. Love the show. Ignore the haters. All right. We'll do our best to do both. We'll do it. We'll try.
Yeah.
I know. Who do you like? Who do you like 2 of these guys?
I prefer, I think, Samuel and Chark. If Eckler's out again, though, I would play Balaj over Samuel. Chark's my number 1 option. No, the Browns are bottom 10 secondary, and that was with Denzel Ward, their best player. Now he's going to be out. So I like Chark the most. And then Balaj if Eckler sits, Samuel if Eckler's back.
All right, Milton C. Gesicki or Tanyan?
I prefer Tanyan, my tight end hire of the week, facing a defense that definitely gives up a good amount of points to the running backs. To the tight ends, the 9th most points to tight ends. So I think Tanyan's the play. Gesicki's just been way too inconsistent.
Yep. Tomas Medina, Rager or Gus the Bus at Flex. Thanks for that. I feel like we got this one from him earlier, and I feel like you answered it. I feel like it was the same.
Yeah. It's Gus if he's the only guy, and if not, then it's Rager on Monday night.
Rager Mac, yeah, Keenan and Terry are locked in, so looking to flex Zeke or AJ Brown. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. You too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it was. Those were the 2 guys, Zeke and AJ Brown. So from Scotland, thanks again, Frazier. I do go Zeke just slightly over AJ Brown. That's tough, though. But, I'm going to go Zeke, Keenan, Terry there.
Christiana Freeman, no problem, guys. Darren Murray, me too. Goff, Ryan, Stafford.
I bench Stafford. I bench Ryan, assuming that Julio Jones is out. Yeah. If Julio's in, then I probably would. I'm going to play Stafford on tomorrow, and just see what happens, and then decide between Goff and Ryan depending on Julio's status. But probably just benching Ryan either way.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Thanks again. No worries at all. No worries at all, Christiana. Appreciate it. Seriously. Thanks for everything you do. By the way, I was the one that traded AJ Green and Boston Scott for A-Rod like 5 weeks ago. So, LOL. So far, so good. All right.
I remember you commented that one in. Yeah, you destroyed them.
Absolutely, you traded nothing. Right. You got rid of nothing.
Absolutely. Great trade.
Yeah, need 2 running backs, Gus, Bernard, Gallman, and Gurley. Happy Thanksgiving, fellas. You too. 2 of these. The Gus thing is just contingent on the Dobbins and Ingram news. So I always have to hedge a little bit on these.
Yeah. Sion, I prefer, I think I like Gurley and Gallman regardless of what happens with Gus at this point. Gallman's had 14 or more PPR points in 3 or 4 straight weeks, and Gurley gets the Raiders. I think he's going to be a good bet for a touchdown.
Darren Murray, I pick up Gage and Aguilar. Should I drop? And for Rashad Higgins, Perriman. Sorry, I'm misreading a bunch of this stuff.
It's not a greatly worded question.
We still appreciate the question, dude.
We do. I would drop Gage, and I would pick up Perriman myself. I would keep Aguilar over those other guys, but I would drop Gage and pick up Perriman.
All right, Marco Escobar, Gallman or Ahmed this week. Thanks always for the great advice, boys. You're welcome. I would go Ahmed.
Yeah, that's against assuming again that that Myles Gaskin stays out. I think that Jets matchup is too juicy to avoid. So yeah.
Nathan Paul, thanks for the help, guys. Have a good one. Love from Canada. All right.
Hitting a few different countries today.
You're welcome. Thanks for hanging in. Darren Murray also is Moss a start this week over Ahmed. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. People are being so nice. We had such jokes earlier. These guys are being so friendly.
It's the best. Yeah. I love when the people come out and defend their pack. It's good stuff, Darren. And I would play Ahmed over Moss as long as Gaskin's out. I think Ahmed against the Jets is a smash play. I would stick with him.
Tomas Medina, gracias muchachos, feliz Thanksgiving. Thanks with an X, and
thank you,
his own spin on it, man. You're welcome.
Absolutely. Where are you coming in from? I don't know if that's another interesting place, but appreciate you, Thomas Medina. Thank you so much for interacting with us.
Thanks, guys. You're welcome, Milton C.
I think that wraps us up.
Wow.
One of the weirder shows of all time.
I think that's since we rebooted this show, that's the weirdest, probably worst show we've done, just because we've been so off with the banners and stuff like that. And so those of you that hung in there, sorry about that. The info was there, but certainly was not as smooth as we usually like to do it. But thanks for tuning in at that earlier time slot. And sorry it wasn't better overall. We'll get you back on Sunday, I promise.
Exactly.
And the Wolf will get you back tomorrow.
Exactly. I'll be here tomorrow, 11 a.m. If we didn't get to your question, if it was lost in the garbage that was going on. But Wolfpack, you just a reminder too, even with all the garbage going on, those comments, the fact that so many of you were like reporting them and just like, get out of here, you losers, was awesome. Just to see you guys defend the backs of your boys. We got you guys too. So thank you so much, everyone that tuned in. That's why we do it, to just have this loyal group of followers here that we hopefully help out, and we know you guys got our backs. It's awesome stuff. So thank you so much for tuning in. You can find all our stuff at the Roto Street Journal, rotostreetjournal.com. We breed and feed fantasy wolves. Find us on all socials, Roto Street Journal. You can just search on any of them. You will find us. I am at Roto Street Wolf on Twitter. If I didn't get any of your questions and you can't come tomorrow at 11 a.m., you can find me there. I'll also be live, I want to say Saturday for DFS, but I don't know. I might do Friday because I have the day off. But ultimately, we will be getting all your questions on Thursday tomorrow, 11 a.m., then Sunday, 11 a.m., and I'll try to sneak in a DFS show. I will let you guys know when that's happening, if it is. It sounds like Tomas is from Panama, too, so we definitely had a wide-reaching show. I love it.
Thanks for tuning in, man. Seriously, that's cool.
Thanks so much. And if you're willing to subscribe, wherever you're at, I don't want to ignore your question, Tomas. I was pumped you're from Panama. I don't love T. Higgins without, Joe Burrow, but if Bird's the other option, then I probably go Higgins. I wonder if there's another streamer, though, Perriman, for example, or, I'd love to hit the waivers. If you could send me a picture on Twitter at Roto Street Wolf of who's available on waivers, I'd love to help you out a little bit further, because I don't like either of those options that much. And then Mitch is still here. We can't miss Mitch's question. Godwin or Woods? I prefer Woods. What was your preference on that?
I said Woods also, grudgingly.
Yes. But thanks again, Wolfpack. We greatly, greatly appreciate your support. If you really want to help the boys, then reviews and subscriptions on the podcast are so appreciated. Subscriptions wherever you're watching or across all the platforms, YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, are also so appreciated. Thank you guys again. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. Hope you get some good fam time, some great food. You get some nice relaxation over these holidays. You guys are the best, Wolfpack, and I'm out. See you guys.
All right. See you later.
One sec. Here we go.